Still, China inflation 34-month high at 5.4% for May. Interesting to note, we've got money supply at a 30-month low
in China.
Up by 15%. So growth in money supply of 15% for the month of May, at a 30-month low at this point.
Yes.
Which is quite fascinating, because if you've got money supply still growing at double digits, that could feed through into inflation as well.
I have no idea what's going on in the Chinese economy. All I can see is that it's getting larger at a very rapid rate.
And growing fantastically, and this is one of the reasons that we saw the optimism today, because the industrial production numbers were
But they kind of run it like a combination between the CIA and Goldman Sachs. There's the Chinese Central Party, and they like do what they like. Then there are all these local authorities that sort of do their own thing, and everybody lies about the numbers.
So you don't believe any of the numbers that I've just said?
No, I just don't pay any attention to them. I mean, my big picture assessment is that if we were going to see a big economic collapse in China, then we would know about it. But so far, it seems as though the boats coming out of their ports are still full.
If I may I ask you about the Chinese reverse listing scenario that is playing out?
Those damn companies on the New York Stock Exchange.
On the New York Stock Exchange. So Chinese companies dual listed on the New York Stock Exchange, and then obviously the regulations are very different to what we see in China, and revealing a lot of worries.
Frauds.
And
Look,
numbers
I mean,
that cannot be explained.
Sounds like if you like a Chinese American background and you go to the New York Stock Exchange or you get onto the pink sheets or something, you can list a company there. And then all you do is you say, we are the, Best Buy of China, or we're the, Facebook of China. And the next thing, people are lapping up the stocks. It's extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, there have already been a number of frauds discovered where the company didn't really exist. So when somebody went to the offices in China, there was like an office suite at the end of a passage. There was no company. So I think really, if you're investing in Chinese companies directly, you've got to be really sure about what it is you're doing.
Let's touch on the M&A activity that we've seen in the US. And one of the reasons there was a bit of optimism yesterday, it's a thing that we've seen happening before, and they seem to all come at once.
Look, I don't know, these retail numbers that came out this afternoon, I was a bit distracted. So I know they were positive. I know that there's been some M&A in that.
They were positive. Total retail sales slipped 0.2% after downwardly revised 0.3% increase in April.
But they were better than expected.
The Department said.
Oh, okay.
No,
but
they weren't. Yeah, so they're down.
I know that Best Buy, which is like electronics goods retailer, did well, better than expected. The company has been in trouble. But the thing that caught my eye yesterday was VF Corp, which is the apparel company that owns Lee and Rustler and Vans and a whole lot of brands that young people like, was buying Timberland, which is quite a visible brand here. I think there's a global theme here, and that's of consumerism. People trading up. I like that apparel category as well. We own stock in Nike and stuff like that, because I think it's cheap luxury, if you know what I mean. It's affordable luxury. So you see people walking around wearing a Nike Barcelona shirt. That's a way you can kind of...
Pretty much the same story when you look at Richemont as well.
But obviously Richemont is like, $10,000 Cartier wristwatches, which not everybody can afford. There seem to be enough people that can afford them.
Rich is the story that seems to be emanating from there.
Lucky them, huh?
The consumerism side of things, I mean, when I talk about this retail sales number out of the US, which is down 0.2%, it really had to do with the fact that we saw a 2.9% drop of motor vehicles, and that's really linked to the Japan story. So we're seeing this effect filtering.
Yeah, and they'll probably have said, that May was a month that had too many public holidays or not enough public holidays. Again, I don't follow the numbers with that sort of level of detail. My big picture issue is what's happening with consumer demand in the US, and is that economy recovering? We know a lot of people have lost their jobs, so we shouldn't get too excited, but most companies seem to be doing okay. I guess that's the current theme. We will need to see a more enduring recovery before we get really excited.
Okay, so Paul, I don't have a tissue with me, but Naspers, apparently investors were expecting more than a 10 to 20% increase in core headline earnings per share. And about a 30% increase or so. Are you looking to
again, analysts have got these models for what they're looking for. With Tencent being such a big part of the Naspers valuation, we know what those results were. I mean, there's a lot going on in this whole world of social media. So at some level, Naspers is trading away from where it ought to with regard to earnings, and it's kind of like looking at the valuation of what it's got in there under the hood. You would have seen these stories about how Facebook is potentially coming to the market in 2012 with
And Naspers has a little
penciled
bit of a portion
in
of exposure to
well,
Facebook.
it's not so much that, you're right, but it's got a penciled in value of $100 billion, which is nothing short of astonishing. Obviously, Facebook has to convert that business model, but many people think it can. And Tencent owns that thing called Pingyu, which is like a Chinese version of Facebook. And then it owns QQ, which is like a Chinese version of Mixit, crossed with BlackBerry Messenger.
Someone was a bit negative on China at the top
No,
of the
I'm
interview.
hugely
Awfully
positive about
optimistic
China.
at the
Everything's
bottom.
good. So I don't really know what Naspers' earnings are going to be. But if you buy them at like 400 Rand a share, that's what you're buying.
14.6 billion Rand passing through the market today. Very high volumes, futures close out tomorrow. Window dressing, yes?
No, well, window dressing is what you do at the end of the month.
So
if your
this
fund's
is
been doing badly, you
protection.
look for the illiquid stocks and then you bid the heck out of them to get your values up. The trading values before futures close out, that's people who've got like derivative positions. So they're thinking, okay, tomorrow the prices and the trades might be busy, so let me get them done today. But, more the better, more the merrier.
I forgot about your
No, let's
whiteboard.
do
It's
that
fine.
tomorrow.
We'll do it tomorrow. Paul Theron, thank you, sir, for joining us today.